Hello. Live chat's enabled. I don't know if anyone can hear me. Who knows? Wi-Fi here is not always on the ball. Hello. I can see people have shown up, but no one's chatted yet, so excuse the noise. I have to be outside. I have a roommate, and we don't really have privacy. Oh, hello, Frozen Lion. What's up? I hope you can hear me. I assume because you chatted you can, but you never know. It's surprisingly nice out today. Maybe that's the breeze. But yeah. Yeah, well, the easy answer to how Sparta is, it's fucking hot. It's actually not, it's not as bad, it turned out, as it is back home right now, but it's really hot, and I don't really have the option to stay inside most of the day. It's nice, though. I haven't really had the energy to explore the city a whole ton, but headed over to the Leonidas tomb and to the statue and got some photos. There's one of my classmates walking out. And I've kind of been all around the city. It's not very large. Sparty's a lot smaller than you would think. Because, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I, thought that I'd be going somewhere, like, large, like Athens, because of how famous it is, but the city itself is actually pretty small. And a lot of that is because it was a kind of a planned city rebuilt in the 1800s by I do believe it was a German architect who was given instructions to rebuild kind of Sparta and like create a modern city. But because of that, the city is kind of half modern and half kind of much older architecture, and it's actually fairly small. I mean, you can genuinely get from like one side of the city to another in about 35 minutes on foot. Also means I don't have a lot of options for food. I've been eating a lot of Greek and Italian food, which, don't get me wrong, all hail Greek and Italian food, but not for 3 weeks. So Nick Knack did send me that Memorial movie, the FGO trailer thing. And I did watch that right before going live today. I didn't have time before now, but I did watch it. And I have so many opinions about it. It looked so good. I'm not actually sure what it's supposed to, like, is it for an upcoming movie based on FGO, or was it like just kind of a special for the fans? Like, I don't really get what it was, but holy shit, it was beautiful. And I think there's only one. Oh, so it's just that little 4-minute thing. It's not gonna. Darn, I would have really liked like an hour and a half movie. Damn. There was really only one character I didn't know. Once again, the dude with like the long green hair and the kind of jewels on his head. I have like a vague idea of who he may be, but I think he's in the schedule, so I'm not gonna go look it up and spoil myself. But damn, did Iskandar look good. And, everyone else. Even Artoria looked stunning. And, I'm not an Artoria girly. But yeah. So it was really interesting. I was wondering if it was... yeah, I'll learn. It's definitely in the schedule. Like, definitely. Which, speaking of the schedule, I am going to be so fucked when I get back to the US next week. Because I have to prep for so many videos upcoming. Oh god, especially the reacts to Fate. I'm gonna have to spend like almost 2 weeks just doing research and creating lectures and I have to create a conspiracy board for one of our upcoming videos. Like, oh god. Nick Nack's been complaining about his end of the research too. Apparently there's so much Fate lore. To which I just kind of laugh. I mean, he deserves that. Whatever. Normally he has the easy job, so it's nice to see him having to put in a little bit more legwork. Yeah, rest in pieces. But yeah, I think I can't remember what the last reacts that came out was. Was it Shinsengumi? There should be something coming this week. I think maybe tomorrow or Friday. I think there's a react scheduled to go up. I could be wrong though. I did upload the videos a while back, so yeah. And I saw y'all have been enjoying the Lunar Legend Tsukihime discussion. It's getting very good reception. Despite the fact that the show was not really anyone's favorite. Oh, really, 5 whole new servants. What the fuck? Oh god. I hope they're on the list I have, because I have not. Oh boy. They better be on the list I have, because I am not prepared to add to that. My list of names is already like a full page long. I don't need more. I'm gonna be honest. If I need, I'm half to the point where I genuinely want to suggest to Nick Nack that maybe we should split this up into Roundtable and Fae Nights, but I'm pretty sure that wouldn't work out perfectly, because I'm sure there's some like weird fucky Fate crossover, but oof, it feels like it needs to be split. I swear to fucking God, I am just being gaslit out of my goddamn head by commenters being like, this anime doesn't exist. I clearly watched it. This is, but then again, that's how I felt about that season of fucking Hamefura that apparently I just entirely imagined. So you know what? Go off. Maybe it is me. Maybe I did just imagine whole anime. You never know. Oof. I am really excited for some of the upcoming reacts, though, after I get back. We've got... Oh, I'm so excited for October. I have so much to do for October. Oh, that's good. Okay, I can deal with summer costumes. We love us a swimsuit. But yeah, no, I'm really excited for the reacts coming up for October. Probably more so than anything in September, to be honest. August stuff is already recorded, so I think our next video will be that we're doing after I get back has to go up in the end of September? The end of September. Thank God for that live stream, because that was like 3 reacts done without me needing to edit them later. It was so helpful for me, especially when I was like prepping to come here, because I was already dealing with like what to pack for this sort of trip. I mean, oh, interesting. New male costumes. Okay. Because I was already dealing with like what to pack for this trip and stuff. Because like, what the fuck do you pack to take to an archaeological excavation school? The answer was not what I packed. I've been wearing the same clothes for 2.5 weeks now, and just like washing them in the fucking sink. You know what? That's fair. The relationship. You know what? We often walk the tightrope. I can only assume that the only reason why we're including them together is because when I went to Nick Nack to do the roundtable list, I brought up a couple of characters that I think would have had to have been included in the Fae Nights, but I didn't want to not include them in a roundtable video. Because obviously there are certain topics that like I have opinions on. No, Frozen Lion, the first day I was here, it was 107, and I had to haul my goddamn check-in bag up from the fucking KTEL bus station like 1.5 kilometers in 107 degrees. Absolutely not. Look, you saw that statue of Leonidas I posted yesterday. He was wearing very little. If I have to wear full armor, it would be very little in this heat. Like, fuck that shit. Oh, the Archaeological Museum at Sparta, though. I have to see if I can post a picture of it, maybe, or include it in a later video. They're doing an exhibition. I guess they found, like, a Spartan hoplite, like, helmet and spear, actually really well preserved, and it's on exhibition at the museum right now. and I got to go see it, and oh my god, it looks stunning. I mean, the helmet's a little flat, but the spear tip is immaculate. Like, holy shit, it looked so cool. Yeah, see, I feel like that would have been a smarter way to organize the video, because I don't know. And I feel like I've got at least like 2 characters who I'm just going to like mention and be like, these need to be fake characters, but I know they're not, and that disappoints me. Because Culhwch and Olwen aren't characters in Fate yet. And that makes me sad. I want Culhwch and Olwen so I can talk about that story, because it's one of my favorites, but they're just not there. Like, not even a little. So there's a fair bit of peripheral characters. I think when I initially went over it with Knick-Knack, my list was much longer than his, because I had a bunch of characters I wanted to include who weren't part of the like Fate roundtable yet, or like were only mentioned like briefly in lore. Like I wanted to go all the way back to like his parents and the story back there with like Igraine and stuff like that, and Uther, and then I wanted to kind of like follow it down a little bit. Yes, after every single video that we've pulled from the live stream goes back up, the whole live stream will just go straight back up. Right, Agravain would be such a cool character. But yeah, the live stream will be like republished probably like 2-3 weeks after the last of the reacts go up. I'm gonna give whatever the last react video, I want to give that one time to like get its own viewers and stuff like that, and then we'll just republish the live stream. So it'll be available. I mean, it was a behemoth of a video, though. I mean, 8.5 hours. But yeah, I don't know if I'll timestamp it. I might, but that will depend on me having the time to go through and timestamp it. And yet, see, Frozen Lion, I think that's what Knick-Knack said about a few characters so far, where like they're mentioned in the backstory, or they technically exist, but they haven't been shown yet, or like they aren't playable yet. Which there's definitely going to be some stuff like that mentioned in the roundtable video, and maybe even in some later videos this year. I don't know, because I don't always know what Fate stuff Knick-Knack is bringing in too. Like, I'm sure MASH will be mentioned in the roundtable video, and like very obviously that's not, like, I know that she's related to either Galahad or Percival, I forget. I think it's Galahad anyways, but beyond that, that's gonna be all his stuff, just telling me about a character who I've really only met through the D&D campaign and stuff like that. So, you know. I do have pre-orders out on a couple of Fate Nendroids from the Roundtable collection that came out recently. I think Melusine and Oberon. I've been trying not to look at my orders because obviously the image shows up, but I think if those are the 2 Nendroids that recently went up for pre-order, and the pre-order's closing soon, I did order both of those for next year. Slowly collecting random Fate Nendroids. Although, to be fair, I feel like the more reacts to Fate we do, the more I want to like select certain figures and buy them, and I just look and I'm like, holy fuck, Fate, make cheaper figures. Like, I love the Mega House figures, but $300 for Anastasia. Oh, okay. Yeah, like I said, she's definitely one of the ones I ordered, because I got a notification that her pre-order was closing soon, and I was like, oh yeah, I already have that one. But obviously I haven't done my half of the research yet for Roundtable. I was just too busy after the live stream and before I traveled. So I will be doing, I mean, obviously I've read the Roundtable, I've read Le Mort d'Arthur, and other various collections, including the ones by earlier British and French historians talking about British history and the line of kings that mention Arthur and his knights. But I was struggling a little bit with the organization of my part of the video because, like, obviously I don't really just want to read the entirety of Lamort to Arthur on stream because it's so long. But it's also not really efficient, in my opinion, to go character by character, per se. So I think it's just going to have to be like a ladder and rung kind of style where we follow like the main story of like Arthur, and characters are introduced and have their own like side quest bits like they kind of do in the books. Then I'll kind of pepper in stories and stuff from each character, but that meant like a lot of extra organizing that I wasn't necessarily planning for before I left. So I'm going to be on crunch time to try to get that all done in like a week and a half after I get back. So we'll see how fast I can read Lamort to Arthur. Maybe I'll set a new record. Oh. You know who I would love as a fake character now that I'm in Sparta? The hotel we're staying at is right across from a park with a statue of Lycurgus, who is a very famous leader of Sparta, and we could do with him as a character. Yeah. We could definitely do with like some more Greek characters. Also, I kind of want to go back and revisit the Greek gods videos after spending 3 weeks here doing like excavations, because I'm excavating on a religious sanctuary site, like an ancient Greek sanctuary site, and I have honestly learned so much about the nuances of Greek regional religion and the way that the gods worked here in the ancient world and even into the modern, from my professors and such, in a way that I just don't get from a lot of my professors in the States. They just don't talk about that kind of thing. So there's definitely some stuff I want to revisit. Maybe in the Greek gods video. Maybe I need to make like a follow-up to that, because I have found some very interesting things in regards to the gods. And I mean, obviously, I knew I wasn't doing like a perfect summation. I don't know if it's related so much to the mech parts of it, but I think some of what Fate did actually makes more sense in the context of what I've been learning. So, like, for example, in Sparky, right, there's a couple different sanctuaries, right? Like, we have Artemis Orthea here, there's Apollo Amiklion, and then there's a Athena I think it's Calcaeocus? There's so many letters in that word, but I guess one of the things that's not really taught, right, when learning basic Greek mythology in the States is that in a lot of provinces, the gods will have specific names, right, like Artemis Orthea, right, and that'll be related to the specific function they hold in a specific place. So Artemis Orthea is a specific version of Artemis, for example, or Athena Calcaeocus is Athena of the Bronze Houses, and she was like a protective deity here in a very specific way. And the reason why her nominative is the Bronze House is because her temple here on the hill of the Acropolis had very famous bronze plates all around it in antiquity, according to the traveler Pausanias, who wrote about ancient Sparta, and others who also visited. But like, so the excavation I'm working at is run by the HERC program, which is Hellenic Research Institute, and it's working with the Amiclea's research project, which is a public archaeology sort of work where they bring in members of the community and people from all over to excavate and work on this site, and the goal is to turn it into an archaeological park and to kind of define the sense of what the sanctuary covered across like different eras. So it's existed from like Helladic and Helladic and Neolithic times to modern day. And Apollo Amiklion is a very specific version of Apollo who is associated with the Hyakinthos, or the Hyakinthia, Iakinthia Festival, which is Hyacinthus in Um, American English, we say Hyacinthus for that character in mythology, but it's Iakinthos here. And the story of Iakinthos as a chthonic deity of his own, who's part of this sanctuary, is quite different from the way that it's generally recorded that I've found looking back through my books. Let's see. I feel like I understand that more now that I've been here and gotten lectures on mythology and stuff like that, and the non-standardization of it. And I feel like, go Fate, because it makes it a lot easier for Fate to fuck around when divinities are non-standard, um, which just feels appropriate. It really does. I'm enjoying it. It's really been a lot of learning for me, and I think that's always a good thing. And it's fun being surrounded by a lot of other students and professors who are interested in or researching a lot of the same topics as I am. There's not a whole lot of people, like Ket's Goddess of Lucha, very much. But there's not a whole lot of people at my college back in the States who specialize in the ancient classical world. So being around so many people who do is a really fun and interesting experience. The amount of times where someone's just been like, "You've read Pausanias," and I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Oh, okay, so like in book 2 or in book 3 in line whatever," and I'm like, "Yeah, I've read Pausanias, but I don't have it memorized." Jesus fucking Christ! Like, I need the cover. I need my copy on me. I need to flip through to the correct page you're talking about. I mean, good for you, but absolutely not. Also, I swear to God, the heat is just trying to do me in, like, genuinely. Maybe I'll never excavate again. Maybe I'll just work in a nice laboratory with bones. We have found some really interesting stuff on site. I can't post pictures at all. I can't share photos with you because as it's an active excavation, anything that we find this season is, copyrighted for publishing over the next couple years. I mean, okay, I remember every line of some books I've read, but not Pausanias. Fuck no. I mean, you tell me to quote Lord of the Rings at you, I will quote Lord of the Rings at you, but no, not Pausanias. Interesting. Okay. Really interesting things with, especially with the Asian servants, because they have so much. I would assume it's a lot easier to get some of the information and then mess around with it in a way that super makes sense, but is also really creative and cool. It's a little bit harder when working outside of Japan, because then you've got to get a hold of research materials and stuff like that. And Lord knows I remember the struggle I went through trying to get that fucking Yoshitsune book for Ushiwakamaru. God, genuinely have not had that much trouble finding a book in so long. I will excavate the House of Tom Bombadil at any time. That sounds absolutely fascinating. 10 out of 10. But I'm going to need like a huge team with me, and we're going to have to do test pits and stuff. Oh God, test pits will be the death of me. Because that's what we're really doing here, is just test pits up and down the hills of the sanctuary, which is fun, but it's a whole lot of work, especially in the heat. Maybe I should specialize in work somewhere where like it's cooler during excavation season. Norway. Just move directly north into Viking land. Just repurpose myself instead of going after like Egyptology and the classical world. Yeah, just head straight up to like the Norse countries. I mean, I feel like he would know why I interrupted his nap, and would probably ask me something else ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, he'd probably be like, "Hey, do you have this very specific type of food that I want right now?" Which, all hail European Fanta. It is truly the best Fanta. tastes so much better than American Fanta. Less chemically. I'm like looking down from my balcony and there's just like a shit ton of graffiti on the wall of the alley next door. Something that I've noticed that happens a lot, at least here in Sparti, I don't know about anywhere else, but there are a lot of into the Swiss Alps. I don't know, that's a lot of hiking, Frozen Lion. I kind of want something like more like sea level, less hiking, because I went hiking the last 2 weekends here. This last weekend we went to the Byzantine fortress of Mistras, which is like, it's only about 15-20 minutes from Sparti, but it is, there is an ancient agora at the top of the hill, but all the way down this extremely steep hill, there's like a palace and a citadel and a fortress. Like the Byzantines literally built this fucking place into the goddamn mountain, and it is such an awful hike. It is genuinely like, I think it was, I made it almost all the way to the top. I did not make it to the top, but I made it almost all the way up and then came down. And I think I had hiked like 5 miles and I didn't even make it all the way. I mean, it was probably like 5.5, 6 miles total if I'd made it all the way to the top and turned around. And it is massive. It's beautiful. It's an archaeological park. There's a couple of churches inside of it that are under restoration or protected, so they don't deteriorate. And one active monastery. So many cats. They were so cute. Around a beautiful church. But it was massive and killer because the night before I had gone drinking with most of the group. And I was talking to one of the supervisors and we were having a conversation about different types of beer, and I had too much beer. And like I wasn't drunk per se, but like definitely had not had enough time to sleep off the sheer amount of beer that I consumed when we started hiking. And I just about died. I genuinely was about to die. And then the weekend before, we went to another site that's also run by the T.H.E program, the ancient site of Messini. Messini was a city that used to be part of kind of Spartan control and alliance, but at one point they broke away, won their freedom, and became their own massive like civil and city center. And Messini has a ton of stuff visible. I mean, it was actively in use through the entire Roman period. So if you start at the top near the ancient agora and theater and you head like down the valley, and we went all the way to the mausoleum at the end of the stadium, and then hiked back up. And then because it's in like this remote little mountain town, not only do you have to hike back up, but the taxis were waiting for us in the town at the only taverna that is in the town. So we had to hike back up to the museum and then get on the road and like walk another 10 minutes into the city. And it was stunning. I took an incredible amount of photos. There was like an underground treasury vault that was like 2 rooms, and apparently one dude was sealed in there for treason to starve to death. I even cut up my hand climbing around on the walls of one of the archaeological things. There was no rope saying I couldn't, so I climbed and cut up my hand a little bit, but that was also like 6-mile hike. So I have never been so aware that I'm not used to hiking and prolonged physical activity in my life. And of course there's cats everywhere, so you can pet cats every day, everywhere. Every restaurant they're just roaming. They're, well taken care of and roaming, and it's absolutely stunning. I might see if I can share some of the Messini photos in a post or something, or maybe just a little video just showing off like a couple of my photos, because those ones I can show. That dig is closed for the season. So obviously I don't have any photos of like the stuff that they found. And I'm actually almost disappointed I didn't end up doing that one, because that was the other one I would have done, but it was much earlier in the summer and a bit of a shorter program. Although maybe the shorter program would have been nice. This 3 weeks is killing me, because it's like 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on site. I mean, we get up at 6 for breakfast and we're on site by 7, and then 7 to 1 is excavation time with just one short break. But we're encouraged to obviously, take water and food and sit down breaks whenever you need. The ancient stuff is not going anywhere. So we found a shit ton of geometric period and archaic period pottery, roof tiles. They keep making the joke that I'm just like the roof tile washer. Give me clay on because I've been doing a lot of pottery washing. I enjoy it. It's kind of meditative. And it's nice seeing the patterns emerge on the pieces as you're washing them, and then you can look and Laconian, because that's where Sparta is. Laconian, geometric and archaic ware have very specific finishes and looks to them. So I am going to build a roof. So once you wash them off, you can kind of tell what period it is, and the more you do it, the better you get. And I've gotten pretty good at telling archaic from geometric from earlier, which is super fun because I never thought that would be something I'd be able to do. There's so many roof tiles, so many roof tiles. And part of it's obviously because we're digging down the hill a little ways. So the top layer of soil is the junk layer from previous excavation pits. So we're getting a shit ton of stuff that's already been seen. But once you get down a little bit of a ways, there's been some interesting things found. So I'm very happy that I came and did this, even though I'm exhausted and want Mexican food. Oh God! I mean, to be honest, we have a pallet full of roof tiles. I'm getting there. I tried to go to a steakhouse the other day with my roommate. We were just walking around Sparta. There's this steakhouse on Google Maps, right? It's open, so we walked down there. There was no steakhouse. There was an open plot of land with ancient ruins exposed. What I can only assume that there was a steakhouse there at one point, and then they found out that there were ancient ruins, and they closed it, and then they dug up the ancient ruins. But it was so wild because we were just sitting there staring at this empty plot of land full of the foundations of an ancient building, and it says steakhouse open right here. Google. There was no steakhouse open right there on Google. I think then we went up to the Agora, the Acropolis of ancient Sparta. It's pretty small. There's not a ton left, especially of the Agora, because it was built over by honestly the Byzantines and all sorts of people after. So there's a few Roman and Byzantine era buildings. The theater's still there. The theater is beautiful. It's under reconstruction. Or I would have photos to show you of me sitting in it, because I have photos of me sitting in the thrones at the theaters in Messini. I don't know, Frozen Lion. You tell me. I ended up going to the Leonidas Bar and Grill across from the tomb of Leonidas and got steak there, and it wasn't the best. But it was good. It was good. All the food I've had here so far is mostly delicious. I mean, obviously with the exception of the foods that I don't eat, which that doesn't mean they're not good. I just don't eat them. So I just buy other things. I'm honestly surprised. The breeze is quite nice today. I honestly thought that it would drive me out of this fucking live stream after 20 minutes from the heat, but for some reason the wind has really picked up. So it's actually quite nice, but maybe that's also because the high for today is only supposed to be 94. Yeah, it does. Which, to be honest, thinking 94 is cool. It's never in my life before have I had the thought, thank God it's 94, but now I am after the string of 100-degree days 2 weeks ago. And of course, there's souvenir shops. There's a souvenir shop near the Statue of Leonidas where if you look at the back, the sign says Molon Labe, and then and on the other side of the sign, it says never give up, never surrender. Honestly, Frozen Lion, I feel like they should. I really, really do. They don't, but I feel like they should. Also, I love the flippancy that some of my professors have towards the tomb of Leonidas, right? Because we don't actually know if it was a tomb. It's an ancient construction in the middle of the city, but there's no evidence that it was like a tomb, let alone any evidence that it was like Leonidas's tomb. But because it's in the middle of Sparta, and what is Sparta famous for? Leonidas in the 300. So my professors will be like, you've been to the pile of rocks that they call the tomb of Leonidas. It's just very funny to hear kind of the flippancy, because I feel like I have some of that same level of flippancy with things in the US, and so I completely get it, but it's still funny every time. Oh, yeah. And the coffee here is great. God, I could live off the coffee here. I just could. Just permanently. It's very nice. I will say there are some weird things. Like, I went to a burger place called like Black John's or something that had like Jack Daniel's barbecue sauce. It's the strangest thing. I think the most common food after like Italian and Greek here is just like random American things on menus. And I mean, go off, but like the amount of burgers just like hidden away on menus, or like club sandwiches that are just like hidden. Like, I mean, you do the translation and you're just like, oh, that says cheeseburger or something. And you're like, okay, all right, a cheeseburger at like the Greek souvlaki place. All right. I mean, go off. I will say I do miss other foods so much. I'm in Athens for 3 days at the end of the trip before I fly home, and I'm definitely going to like some Korean or Japanese places in Athens just to get some different types of food. I'm also planning on seeing Socrates Prison, and a couple other big sites like Hadrian's Arch and Library. See, you say that, right? But first of all, it's humid here. It is like 30 to 50%. It is supposed to rain 2 days next week and still be in the 90s. First of all. And second of all, I've been invited on a gig for next year already in Egypt at an oasis, which is going to be so much hotter that I am genuinely considering not going after this experience. Like, maybe I can just do something else. Because that is so fucking hot. I almost could not imagine. I mean, obviously, if I went on another dig next year, I'd be much more prepared, right? Like, I'd get the proper clothing for it. I'd know kind of like a better option for shoes and stuff, but like, no, man, I'm dying. Like, there is only so much that semi-cold water can do to keep you cool throughout the day. There is not enough of a breeze, because you have to be covered up. And I'm, long sleeve shirts and, see, now you're tempting me. Now you're reminding me of the reasons why I like Egypt, and you make me want to do it. You make me want to go to these places and do these things. Well, what if I dig up Ozzy? Well, what if I dig up fucking Leonidas? It would be awesome to find a fucking cemetery by the Apollon. Or even to find, like, the votive statue that was made of wood and bronze. I definitely wouldn't find that. But Jesus fucking Christ. That's on par with, like, go to Persia, dig up Alexander the Great. Like, sure, but like, oh god, I would die. Jesus. And there's some interesting museums we've been to. I could dig up Blood Axe. I absolutely fucking could. Find myself a nice little Viking mound. Just chill. Start digging. It's cool, it's chill, there's not too much heat. Maybe it's a little humid, but in cooler temperature, I wouldn't mind. Could do that. I could definitely do that. I think I will actively avoid any archaeological excavations that happen in a jungle, which automatically puts most of the Mesoamerican stuff out of the question. As it is, I am suffering with bugs and humidity here. So, no, I would not go into more bug and humidity than here even. I've heard some horror stories about some Italian digs in like marshes and swamps, and the sheer amount of like mosquitoes and ticks sounds awful. Like, at least it's dry and hot here, and the only thing we have to worry about are scorpions, vipers, and ants. Speaking of, we found a viper, like a live viper in our pit on Friday, which was super funny, and a little frightening, because, like, this was an angry viper. I mean, we had, pickaxed directly into its home. It was such a fat little chubby thing, too. Maybe only, like, 1.5 feet, 2 feet long, but, like, very chubby, all the way around, like maybe that much in diameter, kind of like all the way around, like head to bottom, and very mad. I could do turning into a dragon. I would accept that. I would be very happy. Yeah, to find Fafnir's treasure and turn into a dragon. Right up my alley. I cannot wait to bring home like a ton of like kitschy fucking souvenir statues and shit. Y'all are gonna see like the setup at the next recording. There's gonna be like 4 Greek god statues and like a little Leonidas and shit. Maybe a Spartan helmet. Just like all sitting up there because I lugged them home. Because I have no sense. It'd be fucking hilarious. But yeah, no. It's interesting, but God, no. I wouldn't want to go anywhere hotter or more humid. And I understand, like, I was talking to some of the people working on excavation, like, it's really hot this summer. Like, it is hotter than normal. Much hotter. So, maybe I understand why it's so awful, but that doesn't stop me from complaining about it. Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I'm gonna go back into React with like a very different outlook on some parts of doing them. Drink them out. Actually, I did drink Sparta beer the other night, so like, maybe that's what's keeping me going. Greek beer is really quite good. I've had a couple different types now and genuinely enjoyed it. I also had a lovely Belgian and some like Italian like fruit beer. It was also very good. I feel like it's more along the lines though of like eat the bacon wrapped chicken souvlaki and absorb the strength of the Spartans, Eat the fucking. I mean, but they learn to fend for themselves. That's self-sufficiency at work. It's self-sufficiency. If you are not strong enough to survive, you are not strong enough to be a part of the nation. Yeah. Yeah, so I think, because it is starting to get hot, I think I am going to get going. I don't know if I will stream again or just pop in maybe the next time Knickknack streams in the comments. Sometimes I catch him before I leave for excavation because, nighttime for him right now is early morning for me. So I might pop in on that. I'm still checking comments and responding, of course. Hyper focus. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the next couple videos. I don't remember what's going up in terms of anime to watch after Tsukihime. I don't. I will eat the scorpions. Yes, Frozen Land, I will eat the scorpions. I have been warned that they apparently sometimes just like hang out on the balconies where I am. So I have actually been watching a little bit for that. But anyways, yeah. See you later, everyone. Enjoy the next couple of videos.